Hello, everyone. I'm Kelsey Lemon, Product Marketing Engineer for the VCF division here at Broadcom, and I'm here today to talk about modernizing infrastructure, those private cloud operations within VCF's operations console. And so, with that, let's just go ahead and get right to it. And so, one of the things that we want to just talk about just right out of the gate, right, is that, as within VCF, private cloud operations and management, those tasks are performed using the console. And so here, VCF provides administrators a unified and even a feature rich operations experience for fleet management, which spans things from identity and access management to certificate management, password management, tag management, configuration drifts, lifecycle workflows. You get it, it goes across the entire ocean of tasks that we do on a day-to-day basis. Operations also provides the ability to even troubleshoot and remediate issues that lies at the heart of the infrastructure and even things like application performance management, and it's all being done within the VCF environment, right? And so with that being said, when an alert is triggered on an object, you can actually use VCF operations troubleshooting workbench and its AI-based analytics to perform advanced troubleshooting tasks, right? And at that point, when something's been identified, VCF operations will begin to narrow down the potential sources of that issue by correlating similar metrics or even objects to check for trends and even patterns. And it also even looks for potential evidence of a problem, such as events from metrics that have breached usual behavioral, parameters. It actually looks for things like major configuration changes or even metrics that have shown a drastic change within a selected scope of time. And then once all that is done, it actually ties into VCF operations for logs, which is our log management solution for that last mile root cause analysis to determine the specific source of the issue. And at that point, VCF will then provide guided recommendations on how to actually fix the issue. And it will even provide you the option to have the system automatically apply the recommended fix should a similar issue were to reoccur in the future. And so with that, right, the bottom line here is that with VCF operations, you can resolve issues faster, you can reduce that MTTR, that mean time to resolution, and basically ensure that your SLAs are being met. And one of the other important aspects of this, right, is the whole idea around transparency, right? And so with that component, since transparency and communication are both critical to IT's relationships with the different businesses, the line of business or the departments that they're integrating with, it actually ensures that all of these stakeholders are notified with things like alerts and reports so that everybody is on the same page. And now we're going to just switch gears a little bit and just talk about capacity, right? And as capacity management in IT involves basically just ensuring that an organization's infrastructure has sufficient resources such as computing power, storage, and even memory, right? To basically not only meet current, but also future demands. And to effectively perform capacity management, you need a combination of accurate data analysis, you need strategic planning, and even automation tools to basically help you monitor and adjust that capacity in real time. And this is where VCF can really shine because with it, you can set capacity thresholds and even risk levels. You can assess the current state of your environments, current capacity, and even predict shortfalls in the future. You can actually see where your most constrained resources are and identify resources that could either be reclaimed and even right sized. But what's also really, really cool about this is that you can actually forecast not only the performance, but the financial impact of adding or even removing workloads or the infrastructure with our what if analysis tools. And so, here, what the bottom line here is that you can actually ensure that your hardware, your software, and even your infrastructure that is all being used efficiently. You can reduce waste and avoid over provisioning, and you can prevent unnecessary spending as well. Speaking of spending, right, this is a perfect segue because within VCF, the FinOps capabilities integrates the financial management tasked with the operational processes, right? And so with it, organizations can track, they can forecast, they can optimize uh, their spending on IT resources very efficiently and very effectively. And one of VCF's key components is the cost overview page, which you're looking at right here. And basically, that allows you to see that TCO, that total cost of ownership. You can see potential savings, you can see realized savings all within a single location here. And then there's also highly customizable out of the box costing and even pricing dashboards that have interactive widgets that actually allows you to drill down to more specific financial detail for reporting purposes. And there's even showback and even chargeback tools that allow you to see what you're spending versus what you're charging your tenants. And then finally, there are planning tools that actually help you perform what if analyses to see the financial impact of scaling your infrastructure, such as adding additional VMs or clusters before even making a final decision, which is actually pretty cool. And when it comes to things such as network monitoring and troubleshooting, the VCF operations console provides a complete network view with real time health monitoring for things like traffic analysis and even providing you things for application insights. And so, as a result of that, you get quick access to traffic summaries and different flow analyses, just basically making it easier to detect and even troubleshoot issues. And in addition to this, VCF operations provide application insights that actually allow you to understand how network health impacts things like workloads. And so basically, what we're talking about here is a one stop shop that makes troubleshooting easier and faster and actually makes network management even more effective. There's always got to be a bottom line with me here, right? And so the bottom line here is that we're talking about comprehensive visibility, where you're getting a full view of the entire VCF network from a single dashboard. We're talking about proactive troubleshooting where you can quickly identify and resolve traffic and health issues with real time flow insights. And then, last but not least, we're talking about this whole notion around operational efficiency, where you can reduce the time needed to monitor, to analyze, and even maintain network health. Now let's talk about integrated storage operations. And as you know, understanding storage usage is critical. And VCF operations streamline storage management by consolidating key insights into a unified view, enabling proactive optimization. You're talking about efficient resource allocation and even just minimizing downtime. And so, with that being said, with VCF operations, um, and its ability to track consumption patterns, you can proactively do a couple things. Again, optimize that resource allocation. You can prevent bottlenecks. You can ensure consistent performance and even avoid, obviously, potential disruptions. And in addition to all of this, VCF operations also provides a VCN diagnostic check option, which enables you to run live diagnostic checks on clusters that face performance issues. And you can get even insights and recommendations on how to improve storage performance as well. And continuing with the theme of analysis, did you know that log collection is a unified process across all of VCF's components, making it easier to detect and resolve issues quickly? Oh, yeah, that's definitely a thing here within VCF. And with it, admins can use a simplified workflow to configure log collection using common protocols like TCP, UDP, or even SSL, giving them that granular control to either start or stop collections per component. And so, what we're talking about here is also the ability to do cool stuff like side by side log comparisons, which is actually, again, pretty awesome. And so, the bottom line here is that with this tool, you're able to detect and resolve issues faster with centralized log access. We're talking about the ability to improve efficiency through a simplified and automated logging workflow. We're talking about, again, reducing human error via a consistent log collection and configuration process. And then, last but not least, is about getting comprehensive control and even flexibility with protocol and component specific log settings as well. VCF's diagnostics findings and its health tool provides a single pane of glass to correlate issues across your entire infrastructure. So with VCF operations, you can monitor the operational state of critical components such as your VCF instances, your ESXi hosts, your vCenters, your vSAN clusters, your NSX instances, all of those things to basically ensure that everything is functioning properly, ranging from issues related to things like vMotion to snapshots to NTP to DNS. As you can see here, the list goes on and on. And one of the things that's really, really important to point out here is that if an issue, were to come up, such as advisory finding that would require immediate attention, you can see the impacted objects and even get recommendations on how to remediate that issue yourself. And in addition to this self-service aspect of remediation as well, you can actually even send log bundles directly to our support team with our log assist tool to actually speed discovery and drive faster resolution if you can't solve that issue on your own. And so, with that being said, in terms of the bottom line, is that you're able to increase the visibility and speed discovery of an issue. You're able to drive that faster resolution. And most importantly, you're able to improve the stability and the resiliency of your environment. Just talk about application monitoring. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to do this in two phases here. I'm going to talk about traditional applications before going on to modern apps. And so for that, let's just go ahead and set some context. And so as the purpose of the infrastructure is to serve the needs of your applications, whether they're native or containerized, which in turn serves the need of your business. So understanding and ensuring the health and performance of your applications running on VCF is, of course, it's very, very critical. And VCF operations actually helps you understand these things by using application discovery, which actually uses machine learning and traffic flows to map out which VMs are part of an application. And what this does is that it actually helps with defining where those application boundaries are so that users know how much traffic bandwidth is being used, as well as where the applications are communicating with other applications, right? And so, with that being said, in VCF operations, there are native Kubernetes applications, as well as a variety of different management packs that monitor containerized applications, including the nodes, the namespaces, and the deployments, while application management packs monitor common apps like MSSQL, NetApp, Cisco UCS, the list goes on and on. And there's also Telegraph support, which provides in depth agent based application monitoring as well. And so, here the bottom line again is that with VCF and its application monitoring, you can actually deliver significantly faster mean time to resolution and even, again, help you meet those SLAs. And now let's talk about modern apps, right? And so one of the things that's very, very key here is that the configuration process for monitoring has been completely streamlined. And so for some context, in the past, for the Kubernetes management plane, you had to create a new adapter for every instance of the supervisor that you wanted to monitor by feeding in the credentials of the supervisor within the edge control plane. But now with VCF, we've actually reduced the amount of steps by enabling the collection for supervisors by default. And so what that basically means is that every time a supervisor is created within vCenter, it will start reporting directly into VCF operations. So what that ultimately means that you don't have to do any installation or downloading anything from the marketplace to do anything to set all of this stuff up. And so what this does is that it actually gives you the ability to see whole Kubernetes constructs of this supervisor. You're able to see the overall topology, showing Kubernetes constructs, again, like those namespaces, those deployments, those nodes, those pods, and even the containers. And then you can actually see the vCenter constructs as well. And so in addition to this, there are also built-in dashboards that will allow you to see KPI metrics for that supervisor for things like CPU, memory, disk, nodes, pods. Again, that list goes on and on. That being said, what I want to do is I want to go ahead and wrap things up. My overview here by talking about VCF operations ability to help you plan, schedule, and even migrate workloads at scale. And basically, there are three components to this. And so the first aspect of this is that VCF operations allows users to define the scope of the migration, either using specific applications or even members within those applications, while also uncovering, the necessary applications and even network dependencies. And then there's that whole notion around the second component of this, which is the ability to create migration waves. And basically, from a conceptual point of view, the concept basically breaks down the overall migration process into more manageable steps, enabling you to focus on smaller, defined groups of resources at a time. And with these migration waves, you can better plan and execute your strategy in a phased approach, thereby minimizing risk and that complexity that comes along with it, right? And then there's that third component, finally, there's the ability to see resource consumption. And within VCF, what this does is that this feature provides insight into the uses of memory, the cores and storage, helping you to effectively plan any resource limitations that could actually impact your migrations. And so having this data, all this data at hand, it basically ensures that you're not only making informed decisions, but you're also optimizing resource allocation as you move through that migration process before actually committing to it. And with that, that concludes my component. We're going to move on to the next section. Thank you.